Okay, we're live on YouTube now. Hello YouTube, hello Twitch. Happy Thursday. Today I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to add the 160 words per minute class to the stream. And I'll be doing it in descending order. So 160 first, then 140, then 120. Just wanted to see if I could challenge myself a little bit more. Let me just make sure that because I was messing with the, yeah, I need to make this smaller. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, now we're gonna start with 160. Hello, Immune Defense. How are you doing today? I'm doing stenography practice today. Trying to see how fast I can go at 160 words per minute.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 160 drill class. We're going to start off with some common phrases that we hear. You will find that many of these you will be able to phrase on your machine, but some of them you won't. So you are going to hear beyond a reasonable doubt, which we talked about earlier in the literary and jury charge class, and I believe in the Q&A class. So beyond a reasonable doubt, you've got two ways to write that, either Y final RD or YARD. Then you just flag yard if that comes up. Beyond all reasonable doubt, you're just adding the U, YAURD. Okay. Cross-examination, KROX. And then we've got direct examination, DREX.
Beyond all reasonable doubt. Okay, there's an R there too. Beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond all reasonable doubt. Okay.
Let's see. Direct exam, KROX. Okay. Cross-examination, KROX. And then we've got direct examination, DREX. Let's see. Defendant's exhibit, DEX. Plaintiff's exhibit, PLEX. Respondent's exhibit, REX. As a matter of fact, SMAFT.
Hold up. These are a bunch of briefs that I haven't done before.
Let's see. Defendant's DREX. And then we've got direct examination, DREX. Let's see. Defendant's exhibit, DEX. Plaintiff's exhibit, PLEX. Respondent's exhibit, REX. As a matter of fact, SMAFT. Let's see here. Government's exhibit, GOX. And I believe that's it.
Hello,
the rest
Patrick.
of them are very common phrases that you hear. Okay, here we go. Ready? Do you ever?
Oh, hold up.
Respondent's exhibit, REX.
Exhibit.
As a matter of fact, SMAFT. Let's see here. Government's exhibit, GOX. And I believe that's it. The rest of them are very common phrases that you hear. Okay, here we go. Ready? Do you ever?
I'm doing the 160 today. Government's exhibit. What is the pattern for this? Okay, respondents. Exhibit. Ribbed. Defense exhibit. Is it also that? Defendant's exhibit, yes. DUBT. Plaintiff's exhibit. Okay. Direct examination again. Cross-examination. Beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond all reasonable doubt. Direct examination. Cross-examination. Plaintiff's exhibit. Plibbed. It's plibbed. Flibbed. Government's exhibit. Respondent's exhibit. Defendant's exhibit. Okay, I think I'm good.
Ever. Some of them are very common phrases that you hear. Okay, here we go. Ready? Do you ever? Do you feel? Do you have? Do you recollect? Do you remember? Do you think? Do you understand? Do you want? Does he believe? Does he feel? Does he have? Does he recall? Does he recollect? Does he remember? Does he understand? Does he want? $1 billion, $1 billion, $100, $100, $1 million, $1 million, $1,000, $1,000, beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond all reasonable doubt, during the, in effect, into effect, do you ever, have you ever, I don't ever, she ever, they ever, whether he ever, whether I ever, preponderance of the evidence, received in evidence, cross-examination, direct examination, re-cross-examination, redirect examination.
For some reason, I'm not writing evidence correctly. Okay.
Defendant's exhibit, government's exhibit, plaintiff's exhibit.
Whoops, I accidentally clicked in.
Respondent's exhibit, state's exhibit. Any fact, as a matter of fact, in fact. Okay. I've got a paragraph that focuses on different phrases.
I should probably redo that.
Here we go. Ready? Do you ever? Do you feel? Do you have? Do you recollect? Do you remember? Do you think? Do you understand? Do you want? Does he believe? Does he feel? Does he have? Does he recall? Does he recollect? Does he remember? Does he understand? Does he want? $1 billion, $1 billion,
I'm doing okay today.
$100, $100, $1 million, $1 million, $1,000, $1,000, beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond all reasonable doubt, during the, in effect, into effect, do you ever, have you ever, I don't ever, she ever, they ever, whether he ever, whether I ever, preponderance of the evidence, received in evidence, cross-examination, direct examination, re-cross-examination, redirect examination, defendant's exhibit, government's exhibit, plaintiff's exhibit, respondent's exhibit, state's exhibit. Any fact, as a matter of fact, in fact. Okay. I've got a paragraph that focuses on different phrases. Okay. All right, so you're going to hear do you know, D long UN. You write it as a long U so it doesn't conflict with down.
Oh, I'm sorry
Where
that you're
the
sad
they
today.
have, can you, would have, on the, what you, we have, is that, they have. Here's your paragraph. Ready? Do you know where the Adamson family has moved? They have not paid their last month's rent on the apartment at 8530 West 16th Street. Can you help us locate their whereabouts? They might be in this area, but we would have no way of knowing positively. If an opportunity presents itself, please let me know what you know about their whereabouts. The only information we have is that they have not closed their local bank accounts. Okay, I've got a drill here that focuses on word families that start or have the prefix inter. Okay, so you're going to hear interview, intersection, interior, intermittent, interject, interlocutory, which I write that as troc. You hear that a lot, interlocutory decree, that's troc, T-R-O-K. Interfere, entertain, now that does start with an E, but it has the same sound. Intermission, interrupt is T-R-U-P-T, trupt, T-R-U-P-T. Interval, enterprise, again another word that starts with an E, but it has the I sound. And then intersection, there is a brief for that. It's NERX, N-E-R-X. Okay, here are your sentences. Ready? When will you interview your client? The interview lasted 20 minutes. The accident occurred at the intersection of Main and First Streets. Is the signal working at the intersection? The interior of the building needed paint. Taylor is an interior decorator. Did you interject your ideas? Please let me interject my thoughts. She was granted an interlocutory divorce decree. Don't interfere with my plans. Did Joe interfere at the time of the arrest? The intermission lasted 15 minutes. There was no intermission during the play. Does the noise interrupt your concentration? Please don't interrupt me. What is the time interval between the innings? After a short interval, he resumed cross-examination. The weather report predicts cloudy skies with intermittent rain. David and Jody like to entertain. Do you entertain any thoughts on the subject? The business enterprise is owned and operated by my sister Kathy. Do you believe the enterprise should manufacture new products and hire more employees? Okay, moving right into a number drill. This focuses on numbers with points. So when I say point, you're going to use initial P, final T.
This is
you're
so
going
tough.
to hear 13.9, 19.1, 5.043, 18.2, 121.05, 7.678, 1,229.55, 7,996.22. Okay, and here's your paragraph. Ready? With a short review of basic math, most people will remember there are 2 pints in a quart and 4 quarts in a gallon. 1 gallon is equal to approximately 3.79 liters. There are 16 or 7,000 grains in 1 pound. 1 pound is equal to approximately 453.4 0.59 grams. 2,000 pounds equals 1 ton. In Great Britain, 2,240 pounds or 1,016.05 kilograms is equal to 1 long ton. Do you remember which is larger, a grain or a gram?
That was tough.
All right. I've got some legal terms for you, and I'm going to read the legal terms, and then I'll read you your paragraph. You've got verdict, V-E-R-D, sequestered, request, initial K-W, polled, stipulated, hung, acquittal, innocent, and final NT, public, non-jury, deliberations, guilty, foreman, charges, and jury. And I like to write jury as J-U-R. Okay, here is your paragraph. Ready? When the jury retires to the jury room, they are sequestered from the public. At this time, the jury will begin their deliberations. When the jury reaches a verdict, they return to the courtroom. Normally, the foreman of the jury will read the verdict. Either attorney may request that the jury be polled. A jury that is unable to reach a verdict is called a hung jury. There are 2 possible verdicts, innocent and guilty. An acquittal is when the person is found innocent of the charges. If both of the attorneys agree, a non-jury trial may be stipulated. All right. And that concludes our drill class for the 160 speed. Have a great day.
Whoa! That's so fast. Okay, it's apparently already been 10 minutes and 42 seconds. Let's try the literary and jury charge. This is really tough. I'm glad you're feeling better now, Patrick. Okay. Moving on to the literary and jury charge. Hello, Will O Scare at it.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 160 literary and jury charge. We're going to start off with some Latin and French words and then go right into their meanings.
Latin and French words.
Okay.
That's good.
Here we go. Ready? And some of these words might be challenging, but you're writing them phonetically. Okay, and I can give you the spellings after we get through the paragraph and you can add them to your dictionary. Ready? Ipso facto, ignorantia legis non excusat. Again, I'll say that again. Ignorantia legis non excusat. Sine qua non and scintilla. And here are the definitions. Ready? Ipso facto means by the very fact itself. In other words, ipso facto means to rely on the facts without any further action by anyone. Ignorantia legis non excusat literally means ignorance of the law is no excuse. A person summoned to court for an illegal act cannot plead ignorantia legis non excusat. In the term ignorantia legis non excusat, you may see the word juris used in place of legis. Essential elements and facts of a case are termed sine qua non. Sine qua non evidence is indispensable. The word scintilla means a spark or a particle. Scintilla, when used by attorneys, means a small but material piece of evidence. And now I will give you the spellings so you can add them later into your dictionary. Scintilla, S-C-I-N-T-I-L-L-A, sine qua non, S-I-N-E space Q-U-A space N-O-N, ipso facto, I-P-S-O space F-A-C-T-O, and the last one is ignorantia legis non.
Look at ignorantia. I'm not sure if it's really that well visible on the YouTube stream, but on Twitch, you can see that ignorantia is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes. Ignorantia. Non-excusat. Also juris.
Excusat, and the first word ignorantia, I-G-N-O-R-A-N-T-I-A, legis, L-E-G-I-S, non, N-O-N, excusat, E-X-C-U-S-A-T. All right.
Moving on.
Moving right into a fun fact.
A fun
A
fact.
legal brief. Here we go. Craft manufacturers Stride Gum, whose advertisements claim it's ridiculously long-lasting, Elsie Paulo of Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay, I don't know how to write ridiculous.
A legal brief. Here we go. Craft manufacturers Stride Gum, whose advertisements claim it's ridiculously long-lasting, Elsie Paulo of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, sued Kraft in 2012. Was it for false advertising because the gum's flavor gave out after a few minutes? No, she sued for $100,000 because the gum worked too well. She claimed that after chewing a single piece of Stride, she had to scrub her dentures to remove tiny specks of the resilient, long-lasting gum, which she claims made her extremely depressed for approximately 10 minutes. The verdict, case dismissed. All right, I've got some jury charge for you. Okay, here we go. Can everyone hear me okay? As our tech guy comes up here, I wanted to say good morning. First of all, thank you for the service that you have offered in this case. Well, you are from Dane County. You are not a Manitowoc County jury, and so it is a great inconvenience, I know, for all of you to sit and listen to this very important case. But let me assure you that this process, the process that you will be going through in the next couple of weeks, may include one of the most important decisions that you are ever going to have to make. It is a daunting task for citizens to go through, but it is obviously important not just to Mr. Dassey, but to tell to the whole Hall family, to the Hallbeck family, to the friends of the family of Teresa Hallbeck, and to the citizens of this county where we currently are holding this trial. Now, the trial itself, or my opening statement itself, is not intended to be evidence. The judge already told you that. Now, it will be a little bit lengthy in that we have to take what may be 6 or 7 weeks of testimony into a trial, and at least in this case, fit it into about 3 days worth of testimony. Now, much of the evidence in this case is not contested and will be stipulated to, meaning agreed to. And so you, the jurors, since you don't have the same basis of knowledge that the lawyers do, you have to be told the background and a lot of those facts. And so I will be doing that in my opening statement, as well as having some witnesses testify about that as well. Now you will notice around the courtroom there are screens which do, in most regards, have the text or the photos or the videotapes that you will be watching. They are meant to assist you and give you different places to see those things. And so I wanted to encourage you to use that as well. Let me also remind you that this is not a closed system and that you can't participate. The one way that you can participate is if you need to take a break for some reason, then let me know. Let us know if you need to take a break, and we will give you that break. If you are not concentrating well enough, or if you just need a regular kind of other break to use the bathroom, then just raise your hand, all right? Just get my attention or the judge's attention, and we will take a break. During this opening statement, you will get at least 1 or perhaps 2 breaks so that you are able to maintain and remain fresh, and you are able to listen to the very important statements that myself and the defense will be given or giving in this opening statement, all right? The first thing I want to talk about is an introduction of the prosecution team. That is, the people that are sitting at or near this table. My name is Ken Kratz. It's the first chance I've had to address each of you. Well, I am a district attorney. I am the DA of this county, which is the county just east of where just west of where we are right now. I am the lead counsel. Nothing special about that term. It just means that I have coordinated the investigation and the prosecution of this case and will be assisting in the presentation of the case as well. Mr. Fallon, who you already heard from, is an assistant district attorney. Mr. Fallon works for the Department of Justice in Madison. He is the gentleman in the middle and will be another prosecutor in this case. And finally, we have Mr. Gahn, is a Milwaukee County Assistant District Attorney. Mr. Gahn will be presenting the parts of the case, and you'll notice where Mr. Gahn has expertise. This is in the DNA evidence, in the sciences, and some of the other places. So I at least wanted to let you know how we are all involved here and what we will be doing. We, by the way, we are doing a favor, if you will, to this other county. The 3 prosecutors that have been assigned to the responsibility for this case and the case involving Stephen Avery, which were the same prosecutors or the same prosecution team that assisted this county in the efforts of the prosecution. 2 lead investigators were involved in this case. They are Mr. Mark Weigert, who is the gentleman in the glasses. Mr. Weigert is an investigator with this county and the Sheriff's Department. We also have Mr. Tom Fassbender, who is seated next to him and works again for the Department of Justice, Division of Criminal Investigation. You are going to learn in this case that several hundred law enforcement officers were involved and that the personnel and the search efforts in this case were extraordinary. In fact, you are probably going to learn that this was one of the largest, if not the largest, at least by resources, investigation or criminal investigation or homicide investigations in the history of this state. And because of the scope of this case, or because of the size of this case, it required investigators to coordinate or to make sure that everything was done properly, and the leadership and direction was certainly required in this case. if I could have just a minute. We are going to try to fix all of these screens and up here. So I apologize, but I will keep talking. Now, the opening statements, as the judge told you, are an opportunity to tell you what we think the evidence is going to show. But more than that, it is a roadmap, so to speak. It's an overview of this case. The evidence comes in bits and pieces. Some people describe trials like a puzzle or a jigsaw puzzle, if you will, and how the evidence may fit into that.
That was long as hell. 12 minutes? No, wait. It was probably 9 minutes.
Moving right into balancing the budget, congressional record. Okay. I'm going to give you a word list.
A word list.
We've got mandate, legislators, deficient, double digit, crippling, critical, constitutional, priorities, expenditures, ratification, resolutions, legislators, fiscal, and adherence. Okay, here we go. Ready? And I said deficient, but it's actually deficit. I just read that wrong. I just realized that. So it's deficit. My apologies. Thought it was deficient. Okay, here we go. Mr. Speaker, my first piece of legislation was a proposed amendment to the Constitution to require a balanced federal budget. Obviously, this is in keeping with the voter priorities reflected not only in my district, but across the country. My bill was one of several that was introduced during the 98th Congress, which reflected a sense of national priorities. Now, as we are entering the 99th Congress, I sense an even stronger national mandate to limit the spending of the federal government and require more diligent adherence to fiscal responsibility by our national legislators. Today, I am introducing a proposed constitutional amendment to require a balanced federal budget and to assure that the budget will be balanced by putting a lid on federal budgets and to assure that the budget will be balanced not by spending, but by increasing the tax burden of the American people. My resolution would require that the gradual elimination of deficit spending within 30 months of ratification. My resolution would prohibit federal expenditures from exceeding revenues in subsequent years. As critical as the need to reduce excessive government spending and eliminate a deficit from 3 years ago, it is even more critical today. We are confronted with double-digit inflation and record high interest rates that are crippling the economy. The majority of Congress has professed support for a balanced budget. 35 states have already approved measures that call for a constitutional convention to draft a constitutional amendment to balance the federal budget. The people have demanded action, and this Congress can respond to their pleas. Our elected officials must exercise fiscal responsibility. I urge my colleagues to channel their energy and attention toward this goal in the opening days of the 99th Congress.
My God.
All right. Moving right along.
It's only been 36 minutes, but it feels like it's already been an hour.
Closing arguments.
Closing arguments.
Here we go.
I am now ready for 160.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am sure you are all glad we have reached this stage in the case, and at least we are getting a start this afternoon. I want to thank you for your patience and for your attention during the course of this trial. I am sure counsel does as well. It has been a fairly long trial, and we have covered a lot of evidence and a lot of witnesses. I intend to go over some of the things that I think have the most importance to the prosecution's case. I intend to discuss the law and how it relates to the facts of this case. I won't cover everything because I feel a great deal of it is self-explanatory and not necessary for comment at this time. What I say and what Mrs. Delaney says during the course of this argument is not evidence. The evidence is what you heard from the witness stand and the exhibits that you are going to see. If your recollection is different from mine about what was said, go by your recollection and notes and not by mine. There certainly isn't going to be any attempt to mislead you as to what was said during the course of the case. You know it perhaps even better than I do. As I told you in the beginning, in the opening statement or arguments, a case like this is much like a puzzle. It is the pieces going together. Different witnesses can view the same thing, and all of them see it a little differently and perceive different things, depending upon what they are concentrating on and what is important to them at the time. I think you can see, if you take the testimony of all of the witnesses and put it together, that you do get a fairly comprehensive picture of what happened, specifically on the night of November 28 and on the earlier occasion as well. This case is not really a whodunit type of case. It is more of a decision on your part as to what it is exactly that Mr. Valentine has done, whether or not he is guilty of the crimes that we have charged him. Much of what was presented to you, I am sure, is contested or uncontested by the defense as far as the facts, how they came out. A prime example of this, I think, is the robbery count 2 in the case of November 23rd of 2011. Okay.
Whoa.
So we're going to end off here with some public lives. Whatever happened to...
I don't know what that means.
Here we go. Whatever happened to Tanya Harding is one of the most famous skaters ever, less of or for her skating than for her role in a conspiracy to injure her rival Nancy Kerrigan just before the 1994 Winter Olympics. Nevertheless, Kerrigan won the silver medal and Harding finished 8th. Harding became a tabloid fixture, mirrored in domestic disputes and leaked sex tapes, and also televised a boxing match with fellow tabloid fixture Paula Jones. In 1996, she starred in her only film role, a direct-to-video crime drama called Breakaway, about a drug mule who wants to retire after one last job. Harding plays Gina, one of the mule's accomplices. right. Interesting.
You've read that before.
And then it says down here a little fun fact. In recorded history, the west coast of the U.S. has never been hit by a hurricane. So just one of the fun facts here. All right. And that concludes our literary and jury charge.
Wow. It's already been 22 minutes. 160 goes by like that. Just so quick. Oh, I forgot to put up the stream ending timer. Is it 42? About 90 minutes. Where's it 120 minutes? Be 110.
Hello everyone. This is going to be some Q&A for the 160 class. Okay. And the first Q&A you're going to hear adjustment, expenses, utilities, overhead, increase. Okay, and this is going to be the plaintiff attorney questioning. Ready? What did you say to the plaintiff, and what did the plaintiff say to you? That the expenses had gone up and that some adjustment should be made. Were the utilities mentioned? Yes. What was said? That they were nearly double. In what time span? Over 3 years. Did he give you the figures? Yes, he did. Can you remember what they were? No, not exactly. What did you tell the plaintiff? That I did not know why there was such a large increase. Did you have any written agreement with the plaintiff? I believe that it could be called a written agreement. Was that written agreement prepared by the plaintiff? I don't know. Do you have a copy of the written agreement that you have referred to? I don't know. I don't know whether I have a copy or not. In general, what does it say? It says that the utilities and other overhead expenses should be shared between the parties. Did it say anything else that you can recall? No, not that I recall. Do you recall any figures at all that were mentioned to you? I don't believe so. Can you remember the date that the plaintiff told you the increase? No.
Okay.
Okay, switching transcripts. Now I'm going to read some colloquy, okay? So this is going to be a little bit of everyone speaking here.
Terrible. Everyone's speaking.
All right, it's going to start out with the court. Ready? People versus Monty, Hallig, and Hawkins, and People versus Varla. The record reflect each of the defendants are present, represented by counsel, district attorney is present, investigating officer is present, and is there anything we need to do before we bring the jurors in? Your Honor, apparently they want to do a 402. I'm seeking the admission of the statement of Mr. Hallig pursuant to 1220 of the Evidence Code of Mr. Hallig when he was interviewed by Detective Anderson. This is page 6 of Detective Anderson's report, and it is dated 8/31 of 2014. The report indicates that when he interviewed Mr. Hallig told him that he knew the victim because he had seen him in the past, and he stated that he had played football with him for several years. I believe they are relevant. Is the DA even going to bring this up? I'm not getting into any of the statements of Mr. Halleck in my direct examination. Then we don't need to go into it unless you are going to call him for one of your witnesses. I am. We'll deal with that then. Okay. No reason to deal with it today. Perfect. Anything else? Your Honor, just along the same lines, I take it we're not going to get into any of these statements by any of the defendants through this witness today. Don't ask me. Well, no, I'm asking so that if we are, I think we need to address it. No. Okay. Okay, good enough. Let's bring in the red jury followed by the blue jury. The bailiff just told them 9:20. Of course, it's typical of what's going on. All of them are here but two. Do I have time to run to the... Sure. Going back on the record, in the case of People versus Monty, Halleck, and Hawkins, and People versus Varla, the record reflect each of the defendants are present, represented by counsel. The district attorney, the investigating officer, is present. We're on the record, counsel. The record reflects that all are present. Is there anything else we need to do before we bring in the jury? No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. Okay, so we'll stop there. Again, I'm going to switch transcripts. I'd like to give a variety.
That was tough. Especially when the judge was talking.
Right. Here we go. Looks like defense is questioning with this one. Ready? How often do you see him at the present time? I am seeing him about every 3 to 4 months for a checkup at this point. Immediately following the accident, were you taken to the emergency room at the High Desert Medical Center? Yes. And you were there for 2 days, is that correct? Saturday night until Monday. And then you went to Desert Hospital, which I believe was the following day. Yes, I think it was Tuesday. How did you get to Desert Hospital? Was that by ambulance? Did your husband drive you, or what? My sister. You were there 2 days? I believe so. And you continued under Dr. Picone's care, as I understand it, from that time, at least, until May of 2013. You presently see him every 3 or 4 months? Uh-huh. Would that be true from May of 2013? No, I probably saw him more often than just once from May until now. I'm sure I did. Now, after your discharge from the hospital, you indicate your arm was taped to your body? Yes. To hold it stationary? Yes. And how long did you have it taped like that? 2 months. After the tape was removed, were you then in an arm sling? I believe it wasn't tape, it was a sling. It was tied to my body. It is not tape like adhesive. I wasn't really thinking about adhesive. A clot tape? It has bands that has tied around my body, yes. You wore that for about 2 months? Well, I wore it longer, but I had it tied like that for 2 months. Then, when it was untied, how did that work? Then it was a sling. How long did you use it as a sling? 3 to 4 months. Was any other kind of a brace or support used on your right arm or shoulder? No. Okay, who is Dr. Lester? Looks like Brower? He is not a doctor. He is a physical therapist. Where is he located? Here in Yucca. Were you sent to him by Dr. Picone? Yes. Now that was for physical therapy for your shoulder? Right. Did Dr. Picone treat your tailbone at all? He would check it when I would be in, but there wasn't any per se treatment. He didn't treat you at all? Pardon me? He did not treat your knee? No. Now, were you confined to your home for a period of time following the accident? Yes. About how long would that be? I never left the house except to go to the doctor's for the first 5 or 6 months, somewhere around there. Now, when you say you never left the home except to go to the doctor's, were you ambulatory around the house? In other words, were you up and around or lying down? The first 2 months I hardly got out of the bed except to go to the bathroom. All right. After that, I was in bed most of the time. I didn't do any household chores or anything. Were you residing at the Kismet Street address at that time? No. Were you separated from your husband at that time? Yes. Were you separated from your husband before the accident happened? Well, over a year before the accident happened, yes. Who were you living with at the time of the accident? My son Brian and my daughter Cameron. What type of physical therapy treatment did you receive? Involving heat or exercise or what? Exercise and some weight bags. And approximately how long did you undergo therapy treatment? I honestly don't remember. I would guess 2 months. Did you receive benefits from that? No, it hurt worse than it was helping. Did you go to the acupuncturist after the therapy then? Yes, because Les was interested in that. How did you find the acupuncturist? Did Dr. Pacone suggest this person or what? No, a girlfriend in the medical field suggested her. Where is she? Not the girlfriend, the acupuncturist. Where is she located? Palm Springs. Is she in the Palm Springs Medical Center there? No, on North Palm Canyon. Okay. Now, what was the primary reason or the primary injury that caused you to be confined to your bed for such a long period of time? The pain. In what, your shoulder? In my shoulder. Were you taking any kind of medication for that pain at that time? Yes. Do you recall what you were taking? I really don't recall. It was... I have it here. It is spelled VICON or something like that. Did you get any relief from that? No, not really. Were you taking any other kind of medication? He switched me later to, I can't remember the name of it, to some other pain medication. Did you get any relief from that medication? No. Were you taking any over-the-counter medication at the same time? A lot of Excedrin for the headache. Did the Excedrin relieve your headache symptoms? I thought they did a little bit. Were you at any time required to have any kind of a brace or protective device for your tailbone? Not something that was put onto the body, no. How would you describe the feeling in your tailbone before it resolved? Is it aching, pins and needles, painful, what? I would say aching. Okay, and I just want to remind you, the brief for headache is H long A K, hake. I know we covered that in this Q&A here. So the brief for headache is H long A K, hake. All right, so that concludes the Q&A for the 160 class. You have a great day.
Sorry, I drank my water wrong. Headache. Hake. Whoa. I didn't even get to like the Q&A video. Let's go to the test. So 160 is way too fast for me, but I do feel like it's doable at one point.
Hello everyone, this is going to be a 160 Q&A test. And defense attorneys, Mr. Mendoza, Mendoza. And this is going to start with defense attorney. Ready? You are doing a great job, okay? All I'm trying to, please don't take my questions that may somewhat be detailed as an expectation that you'll have an answer either. Okay, I'll do the best that I can. He's just trying to do his job. And I realize we're talking about something that happened 3 years ago, and I am taking it and going moment by moment. If you don't know, that is why I mentioned you let me know that you don't know. Now, with that in mind, as you were pulling to the right to avoid this lady, do you know how close it was that the motorcycle got to your vehicle? If you don't know, you let me know you don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, that is perfectly fine. And as the motorcycle was going around you, can I just say something? Or no, I'll just wait if you want me to. Yes, you can say anything you want. Let me just get a few questions out so I don't forget what I wanted to ask you. All right, okay, all right. You brought your vehicle to a complete stop, veering to the right? Yes, I veered to the right. Okay, and with regard to the other lady who stopped her SUV, the other van, when you were pulling to the right, not seeing any turn signal on her vehicle and seeing her stop, did you know that what she was going to do? Well, yes, I sort of knew. Okay, what we don't want you to do is to speculate what she was going to do. I want to know as she was coming to an abrupt stop. At that point, I didn't know what she was going to do. Okay, except that she stopped. All right, and at that point, of course, you're veering to the right still. Is that correct? Yes, that is right. All right, and then was it just kind of out of the blue that she just turned left? Is that what happened? Yes, it was immediately after she stopped. And with regard to after she stopped, this motorcyclist went to the left of your vehicle, and then she started to turn to the left. Is that the idea? Is that what happened? Well, not exactly. Okay, let's try to do it this way. Do you want me to explain? May I? Go ahead. Like I say, this all happened in split seconds. She stopped her car, slightly turned it left to make a left-hand turn into something. And as she's doing that, this guy revs up his motorcycle and is passing me as she's doing this. Does that make sense? Let me do it this way, ma'am. Number 1, the timing of all this, you say, happens in split seconds or almost in nanoseconds. Is that right? Yes, that is right. Okay, so as she's stopping, you don't know what this motorcyclist is thinking, do you? Of course not, no. Okay, and you don't know what she's thinking, she being the driver of the other van? That is right, I do not. And all you know is, for some reason, this lady brought her car to an abrupt stop, and you don't know what's going on. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And then what you know is this motorcyclist, you have a sense that you hear him, and you see him coming around your vehicle. Is that right? Yes, that is right. I could hear his motorcycle. And at about the same time, you see the lady starting to turn left. Is that right? Yes, that's right. And then you see a collision? Yes, that's when the accident happened. And at the moment of the collision, would it be accurate to say that was her vehicle angled a little bit? Yes, just a little. And did you see the actual impact that the motorcycle had into the van? Yes, I saw it happen. And at the moment that the motorcycle impacted the van, I'm getting a sense that the van had already started a little bit of a turn. Yes, she was turning at that point. The angle, if we went from the angle that the van was at the time the motorcycle hit it, would you say that the angle would be less than a 45-degree angle? Yes, I would say it was around a 45-degree angle. Okay, and now you're giving me your best estimate. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And when you say 45-degree angle, you mean the van. If it was due west, the van would have been there at a 45-degree angle. I'm sorry, at a 45-degree angle. Okay, all I am trying to do is this. A 45-degree angle would be something like I'm drawing right there. You follow what I am saying? A 90-degree angle would be a right angle. You follow what I am saying? Okay, so it might be more than a 45-degree angle. You think it was more than what I've drawn there? It would be more. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at math. That's okay. Do you think it was more than? But I don't really know how much more. What I'll do is, just so we know, this is going to be Exhibit 19. Now, did you see the motorcycle impact the van about like where I've put that arrow? Okay, so you are saying that this is the motorcycle, the arrow? The arrow is, yes. Okay, yes, but I am still, we're talking seconds. I understand, ma'am. Or even nanoseconds, like you said earlier. I understand that this is happening, and I'm trying to get out of his way. My car, by the way, is still in motion, although my foot is on the brake, and yeah. And that is when you pull off to the right? Yes, exactly. Okay, and as you saw the motorcycle impact the van, did you see the rider eject off the motorcycle? Yes. And what happened to his body? He kind of flew off his motorcycle. Also, parts of the motorcycle were flying in the air. I don't know why they didn't hit my car. I came to a stop and I saw him laying in the middle of the street. Okay, and when you say you saw him laying in the middle of the street, was he in the westbound lane of where you saw him? He was in the middle of the street. Okay.
I did a lot better than I thought I would. So that's something. Let me move this to the drill. I'll probably do 160 again tomorrow. Oh, ad starts in 1 minute. I have 0 snoozes. So I can't snooze it, even though it would be preferable for me to do that. I'll just sit here for the next minute, just relaxing. Wow, 160 is so difficult. But it is also a little easier than I thought it would be. Just a tad bit. I was able to get down a lot of the test. A lot more than I thought I would. Okay, I'll be right back. Steering contest, huh? The model will definitely win that. Okay, ad break is over. Oh wait, that's the wrong video. 140.
Welcome to drill practice. Let's get started with some words from our list of 1,000 most frequently used words. Ready?
Wait a second, I need to clean my glasses. Okay, I'm good now.
Here we go. Said, 3, upon, 6, along, bring, found, myself, reason, around, report, town, following, left, summer, seem, interested, either, prices, reference, used, didn't, probably, coming, general, show, meeting, bank, request, afternoon, question, meet, end, position, subject, address, least, full, 10, asked, waste, told, beg, against, returning, size, evening, books, January, while, reply, able, might, care, appreciate, district, wait, remember, enclose, run, misses, unable, stay, real, busy, young, already, small, almost, paid, world, Sunday. All right, now let's just try some cities and states.
Cities and states.
Here we go.
I'm not good at these. Let's go.
Hot Springs, Arkansas. Apple Valley, California.
How do I write Arkansas again? Arkansas. AR.
Chatsworth, California. Hot Springs, Arkansas. Apple Valley, California. Chatsworth, California. El Centro, California. Helendale, California. Novato, California. Centennial, Colorado. Johnstown, Colorado. Avon, Connecticut. Boca Raton, Florida. Lakeland, Florida. Centennial, Colorado. Johnstown, Colorado. Avon, Connecticut.
I don't remember how to spell Connecticut. Don't look at me in my shame. It's 2 N's. Connect. God. I almost had it too.
Colorado. Avon, Connecticut. Boca Raton, Florida. Lakeland, Florida. Palm Harbor, Florida. Tampa, Florida.
Tampa! That's where I grew up.
Palmetto, Georgia. Altoona, Iowa. Waterloo, Iowa. Hayden, Idaho. Saulberger, Havana, Illinois.
Let me go back.
Tampa, Florida. Palmetto, Georgia. Altoona, Iowa. Tampa, Florida. Palmetto, Georgia. Altoona, Iowa. Waterloo, Iowa. Hayden, Idaho. Saulberger, Havana, Illinois. Lake in the Hills, Illinois. Urbana, Illinois. Elkhart, Indiana. Middle River, Maryland. Ashbury Park, New Jersey. Middletown, New Jersey. Brooklyn, New York. Fulton, New York. Mount Vernon, New York. Thornwood, New York. Lakewood, Ohio. Hanover, Pennsylvania. Somerset, Pennsylvania. North Augusta, South Carolina. Knoxville, Tennessee. Fort Worth, Texas. Pasco, Washington. Landa, Wyoming.
Okay, I got most of that right.
All right, now let's try, we'll practice these legal words.
Legal words.
I'll read through a list of legal words and then we'll try them in some sentences. Alrighty? Here we go. Arraignment. Guilty. No contest. Pre-trial. Disposition. Narrowing. Prospective. Voir dire. Examination.
Voir dire.
Sympathetic.
She pronounced voir dire like voir dire. I almost had it.
Narrowing. Prospective. Voir dire. Examination. Sympathetic. Challenges peremptory. Impaneling. sequestered, deliberating, writ of veneer facius. All right, let's try them in a sentence now.
Let me look up the writ. Of veneer facius.
Before the trial begins, a writ of veneer facius is sent to prospective jurors to summon them to appear. The veneer is the pool of prospective jurors from which the jury is chosen. The voir dire examination is used to select the jury from the veneer. Both attorneys may use a number of objections to remove jurors whom they do not feel are sympathetic to their case. The objections are called challenges. Challenges may be peremptory or for cause. A peremptory challenge is a challenge for no particular reason. A challenge to the entire jury panel is called a challenge to the array. The process of jury selection is called impaneling the jury. Attorneys may invoke Section 1538.5 of the Penal Code to suppress evidence. After evidence is presented in court, the judge conducts the jury charge. Jurors are often sequestered while deliberating.
Okay. Peremptory.
Let's read through those words one more time, just for a little more practice. Arraignment, guilty, no contest, pretrial, disposition, narrowing, prospective, writ of veneer facius, voir dire examination, sympathetic, challenges peremptory, impaneling, sequestered, deliberating. All right, that will conclude our drill practice.
Okay, that's it for the drill practice. Doing the jury charge in literary now.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get started. Ready?
Ready.
After the closing arguments, the judge instructs the jury on the burden of proof, the law that applies to the case, and how the jury must apply the law to the facts of the case. Remember, it is the jury who decides the facts. It is the judge who decides the law. Jury instructions can be very lengthy, convoluted, and difficult for the average juror to understand. The danger here is that the jurors may disregard the instructions and decide the case on what they feel the law ought to be, not what it is. The jury members usually select a leader before they begin deliberations. They deliberate in the jury room. They weigh the evidence, decide which witnesses were telling the truth, and reach a verdict in favor of one party. They may ask to see some of the exhibits again, have trial testimony reread, or have the judge give a further explanation of jury instructions. Jurors in civil trials are almost never isolated or sequestered from the public and the media during the course of the trial and deliberations. When a verdict is reached, the jury files back into the courtroom. The judge asks the foreperson whether the jury has come to a verdict. The foreperson replies affirmatively. If you help someone plan a robbery, you help them before the crime is committed. You are an accessory before the fact. If you hide a person who has committed a crime, you are an accessory after the fact. If you actually participate while the crime is taking place, you are an accomplice. Larceny is theft. Theft is the unlawful taking and carrying away of another person's personal property with the intent to permanently deprive the owner. Larceny is categorized into two types, grand or small. Grand larceny is stealing on a large scale. Petty larceny is stealing on a small scale. Grand larceny is a felony. Petty larceny is a misdemeanor. The difference between grand larceny and petty larceny is determined by the value of the property taken. The crime of embezzlement is similar to theft in that it is stealing, but it is stealing something that someone else has entrusted to you. Embezzlement starts with the lawful possession of the property.
That was hard to do. Okay.
All right. Just a lot of legal terms there. Let's see, we had embezzlement. Sequestered. Accessory. We had accessory before the fact, accessory after the fact, larceny, all right, so let's move along to some jury charge material.
We're doing jury charge now. Jury charge.
Ready? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard all the evidence in the case, and now you have heard the arguments of the attorneys, and now it has become my duty to instruct you as to the law which applies in this case. The law requires that I read these instructions to you, so you should pay very close attention to what I say to you now. If you wish to, you may take notes on these instructions. In arriving at your decision in this case, you must base your decision on the facts and on the law. In a sense, you have two duties to perform. The first duty is to determine the facts from the evidence that has been received in this trial, and not from any other source. A fact is something that is proved either directly or circumstantially by the evidence. Your second duty is that you must apply the law as I state it to you to those facts as you determine the facts to exist, and in this way arrive at your decision or verdict in the case. Further, you must accept and follow the law as I state it to you at this time, whether or not you agree with that law. If anything concerning the law said by the attorneys during the course of their arguments has seemed to differ or conflict with my instructions, you will disregard what the attorneys have said, and you will follow my instructions. Whenever children, particularly very young children, are involved in a case, strong emotions may be aroused. Everyone was a child at one point in time. Many remember young sisters or brothers growing up. Many may be parents of children. Remember what I indicated to you at the beginning of the case during the jury selection process. That is, in arriving at your decisions in this case, you must not and should not be influenced by your subjective emotional response either to the evidence or the individuals involved in the case. You must not be influenced by pity for a defendant or by prejudice against him. You must not be biased against the defendant because he has been arrested for this offense, charged with a crime, or brought to trial. None of these circumstances is any evidence of his guilt, and you must not infer or assume from any or all of them that he is more likely to be guilty than innocent.
Okay. You can drink water now. And that on a typo.
All right, now let's do some literary material, practice some literary material from the Journal of Court Reporting. This is an article that's called 7 Ways to Differentiate Yourself as a Job Candidate. Ready? According to industry projections, in less than 5 years, the demand for court reporting will exceed supply, resulting in more than 5,000 open positions. However, you cannot assume that simply having a court reporting degree will get you hired. Naturally, the most important piece to getting hired is to hone your craft, and you can only do so through practice, but this alone is not enough, as everyone else looking for court reporting and captioning positions will have the same skill sets. Whether you are a student or a seasoned professional looking for a new opportunity, these 7 principles will help you secure that next job. Networking. Everyone you meet is part of your network and could end up being instrumental in helping you build a successful career, and you should treat them accordingly. Always be courteous and professional in your interactions. This includes instructors and classmates in school, people you meet at your state association and NCRA events, and people you meet at your internships. Kathy Carpenter, a freelance reporter from Seminole, Florida, and the 2016 recipient of NCRF's new professional reporter grant, agrees that networking is a must. I can't stress enough how important it is to network with as many reporters as you can, Carpenter says. The knowledge and support I get from others in our field is invaluable. There are a lot of firms out there. Speak with multiple reporters who work for different firms to get information on policies and procedures, and then find the best fit for you. Get involved. Getting involved with an organization such as NCRA or your state association provides an opportunity to network and show other reporters and future employers how passionate you are about the profession. I met one of the owners of the firm I work with through our state association while I was a student, and after my initial phone call, another reporter that was in the office at the time remembered me from past conventions, says Carpenter. Court reporters love to help students, and they remember the ones that attend meetings and conventions and ask questions. Make the most of your membership by attending events and joining a committee. As a student, you can earn a free membership to NCRA through NCRF's Oral Histories program by transcribing 2 interviews, and it doubles as great practice to hone your craft.
Nice to see you on Twitch instead, Patrick. YouTube or Twitch is fine. YouTube I get watch hours though, which I need in order to become YouTube partner. I need 3,000. I'm currently at 587.
Okay, let's get back to, let's see, some jury charge practice.
Doing a jury charge. It's easier to see everything on Twitch than on YouTube. YouTube, it has to be really small.
Ready? Both the people and the defendant, Mr. Myers, have a right to expect that you will consider and weigh all the evidence that you have heard and seen, that you will apply the law as I will state it to you now, and that you will reach a just verdict regardless of the consequences. To put it another way, you may use your common sense at arriving at a decision in the case. You must judge the evidence and determine the facts using your head and not your heart. In your deliberations, you should not consider or discuss the penalty in any way. Those are subjects which must not in any way affect your verdict or decision in this matter. The statements of the attorneys at all times during the course of the trial are not evidence. Attorneys are not witnesses. If anything said by the attorneys about the evidence during their closing arguments has seemed to depart from your individual or your corporate recollection of the evidence, you must rely on what you heard and what you saw. If an objection was sustained to a question, do not guess what the answer might have been. Do not speculate as to the reason for the objection or the reason for the question. Do not assume to be true any insinuations that was suggested by a question asked a witness. A question coming from the mouth of an attorney is not evidence and may be considered by you only insofar as it enables you to understand the answer which comes from the mouth of a witness under oath. Do not consider for any purpose any offer of evidence that was rejected or any evidence that was stricken by the court. You should treat those instances as though they never occurred. Under the law, evidence consists of the testimony of witnesses, writings, material objects, or anything which is presented to the senses and offered to prove the existence or non-existence of a particular fact. Under the law, evidence is divided into two general categories: direct evidence and circumstantial evidence. Direct evidence is evidence which directly proves a fact without the necessity of an inference. It is evidence which, if you believe it, establishes that particular fact. Circumstantial evidence, on the other hand, is evidence, if found to be true, proves a fact from which an inference may be drawn, or the existence of another fact. An inference is a deduction of fact that may logically and reasonably be drawn from another fact or group of facts which have been established by the evidence.
Started to do pretty poorly at the end. I typoed evidence a bunch of times.
All right, let's get back to our article from the Journal of Court Reporting regarding differentiating yourself as a job candidate. Ready? Find a mentor. I was very fortunate to grow up with a family-owned court reporting business, says Angela Baker, RPR, president of Depot International. When I was 12, I began frequenting the Depot International office after school and in the summer times. I thought it was super fun to work in the production department with all of the fancy copy machines and stamps and assortment of pens and post-its galore. My mom, court reporter extraordinaire Patricia Carl, still brings up the time my bestie tagged along with me to the office and we made up our own business cards for Angela Carl and Associates. That's really where it all started. Even without a familial connection, you can find a mentor. Find a court reporter or a captioner whom you admire and ask them if they'd be willing to meet for coffee or schedule a phone call to discuss the profession. The term mentor often sounds more official than it needs to be It can be a casual relationship between an established professional and an aspiring one, built through an initial conversation soliciting advice. You might even already have a mentor without realizing it. Once you have a meeting set up, prepare a few initial questions. For example, how did you get into court reporting? What advice would you give a student like me who aspires to own my own firm? Then let the conversation flow from there. The last question you ask should always be, may I stay in touch with you? With their permission, you can continue to reach out periodically to ask a question, share an exciting update, or schedule another coffee or lunch. You should follow up after the initial meeting with a thank you, since the person is likely a busy professional who took time away from work to help you. This can be an email, but a handwritten thank you note will set you apart. After a few interactions, you'll have built a relationship, and when you're job hunting, you can ask this person if they have any advice on where to look.
It didn't pop up for you? I don't know why it didn't either.
All right, that will conclude our literary.
Okay, we're done with the literary and jury charge. Time to go to Q&A. 120 should be a lot easier today.
Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started, and we will start with the defense. Ready? And at that time you met with the 3 gentlemen you have mentioned earlier? Yes, sir. And was the situation with respect to the cashmere coats discussed? Yes, sir. What was said? I do not recall, but you have a distinct recollection that it was discussed? Yes, sir. Do you recall what any of the sharp outfits personnel said? Not really, sir. Do you have any recollection of the substance of what was said? It's very vague. We were discussing what was available for immediate purchase. I am talking about the problem of the coats. Was there any discussion about that? Yes, there was, sir. But you don't remember any of the discussion? I do not remember any of the specifics, sir. You don't remember the substance? I remember we were to solve the problem of the cashmere coats. Was that one of the purposes of your trip down to Sharp Outfits at that time? One of them. And did you make any suggestions as to how to solve the problem of the cashmere coats? I think so. Tell us what suggestions you made. I was placing orders to follow the business that I was intending to do with Sharp Outfits. That was what you had agreed to do in the late spring? Yes, but the time was ready and prime for placing the fall or winter merchandise that I needed. I am talking about resolving the problem with the cashmere coats. I am not talking about what you may or may not have needed. This was the way to resolve it. Let me see if I understand you. You were placing orders that you had promised to place in the late spring? Yes, sir. Now, did any of the Sharp Outfits personnel make any suggestions on how to resolve the problem of the cashmere coats? Yes, sir. Who was it that made some suggestions? Mr. Roberts. And what suggestions did Mr. Roberts make? My memory is very cloudy, sir. Can you pierce through the clouds and come up with any substance? I don't think so. Don't guess at anything. Your only recollection is that a proposal was made and you don't remember the substance of that. I can't accept that. I am trying to remember, sir. Take as much time as you want. Will you give me a little time? Sure. There was a discussion as to the way Mr. Roberts wanted the cashmere problem solved. He wanted the chargeback absorbed over several years. Is that it? Yes. He made that suggestion to you? Yes, it was a discussion. What did you say? I didn't think it would be possible. So there was no agreement on that. There was no agreement on that. Did you say that you would take that matter up with someone else? I do not recall. Was that the only proposal from Mr. Roberts? The only one I remember. What did you understand him to mean when he said he wanted a chargeback absorbed over several years? He did not want the chargeback taken at once. It was to be eliminated from the books by a deduction from a purchase or a payment.
Okay.
All right, let's get into our transcript and get a little four voice practice.
Four voice practice. The bane of my existence. Four voice to be made illegal.
Ready? We'll start with the plaintiff. What do you recall in that regard? She asked him to help mop up a portion of the floor. And did Ron do that? Yes, he did. The items that you seized of with respect to your two purchases from Ron, did you seize and retain those items? Yes, I did. And similarly submit them to the lab for analysis? Yes. The same lab as the prior items? Yes. And did you receive a report back on those? Yes, I did. All right, Your Honor, at this time I think we'll have a stipulation that both rocks and the baggie that have been discussed were seized and analyzed. One of the so-called rocks came back at a 0.38 grams of cocaine. The other one came back at 0.39 grams, and the last incident, where it was delivered in a baggie in the men's room, that came back at 0.17 grams of cocaine. So stipulated, Mr. Andrews? Yes. Okay, so one of the rocks was 0.38, the other one was 0.39. Is that correct? Yes. And the baggie, the powder in the baggie was 0.17? Yes. Thank you. Let's go off the record for a second. Let's go back on the record. Let the record reflect both parties are present, and we'll continue this direct testimony. Okay, we're going to count 7 now. Yes, count 7 and 8, which should be for, if I'm not mistaken, July 18th, 2008. Yes. Investigator, on that day, did you have occasion to make a return visit? Yes, I did. And again, Investigator Smither was with you? Yes. Who was the bartender that time? A female named Sandy. Sandy, right. And did you get your drinks from Sandy? Yes, I did. And what did you order this time? A beer. And was she able to? She served you accordingly? Yes. Who else did you see here on this occasion that was proved relevant to your investigation? Ron Diaz. Where was Ron when you first saw him that night or that day? I observed him just in the bar near the pool table area. Okay, and about what time on that day was this? Do you recall? I do not recall. I think it was in the afternoon. Okay, if I mentioned about 2:20, is that about right? That's probably accurate. Did you have any discussions with Sandy, the bartender, about Ron? I do not recall that. Would looking at your report help refresh your recollection on that topic? Yes. If I may have you look and review page 8 at the top of your report. Okay. And in looking at that part of your report, does that help refresh your recollection? Yes. And what if any discussion did you have with Sandy the bartender about Ron? I asked Sandy where Ron was, and I believe she said she didn't know. Okay. And at some point thereafter, did you find Ron? Yes. When did you first come to recognize him then? I recognized he came in at some point, but I recognized him near the pool table. Okay, and did you go over to him or did he come over to you? He came over to me. When he got over to your location, where are you? Sitting at the bar. Where's Sandy? Behind the bar. What is the nature of your contact with Ron at that point? He basically walked up to me and asked if I was looking for anything. I told him yes, and he told me to follow him into the restroom. Okay. Did you do that? Yes, I did. And when you were both in the restroom, what discussion did you have with Ron? I told him that I wanted $20 worth, and he proceeded to sell me the same small Ziploc bag with the white powder substance on past occasions. All right, and you took possession of that item? Yes, I did. And once you had possession, did you leave the restroom? Yes, I did. Where did you go? Back to the fixed bar. Was Sandy still there? Yes. And let me ask you, up till this point in time, you discussed about certain transactions occurring in the restroom. Was that always the men's room? Yes.
Back hurt. Oh, it's the end of the Q&A. Okay, going to the test now.
This will be a 140 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff Attorney Mr. Andrews, capital ANDREWS. Defense Attorney Ms. MS period Antonio, ANTONIO. And we'll start with the defense.
Thanks for redeeming Yeehaw.
Ready?
Take it off, Patrick. Just redeemed Yeehaw.
Okay, I apologize. I don't mean to misrepresent your testimony, but driveway or roadway? Yes. Okay, when the van returned, when you saw it return? Yes. Did you actually see it moving? Yes. Okay, and can you describe what it looked like? The color? Was it all I can say is it was either a dark color blue or black. The same van that got hit? Oh yeah. Do you believe it was the same van that got hit? I do. Were you able to see any damage on the van? No. When it returned, was it driving towards Maine? Yes. Okay. And when it stopped, was it parked on the east side of that roadway? I don't remember watching it after I saw it coming out of the roadway. I don't remember what it did. Okay. Do you remember seeing any other vehicles on that roadway, on the west side of that roadway, after the accident? Yes. like a regular car? Any type of vehicle? No, no. Okay, had your cell phone battery died before you started your trip after leaving your daughter's house? Do you know? I guess it did. Okay, because when I went to use it, it was dead. Okay, did you use it at all while you were driving after you left? No. Your daughter's house? No. Okay, why did you... Since you were the one that saw the accident, why did you leave the scene after about 10 minutes? Object to that question. There's no testimony that she left the scene after she was driving. No, I'm saying you stayed at the scene about... I think your testimony was you stayed at the scene about a total of 10 or 11 minutes, correct? About, yes. And you handed your name and phone number to one of the motorcyclists, correct? Yes. Okay, did you tell him to give that paper to the police? I did. Okay, and then you left, correct? I left. Not immediately, but I did. Okay, did you stay at the scene of the accident longer than the 10 or 11 minutes? The whole thing seemed like an eternity, but it could have been a little longer. Okay, but you did leave before the police arrived, correct? I did. Okay, and my question is, why did you leave before the police arrived? I couldn't tell you that. I don't know. That's fair. Have you ever been contacted by either the police or CHP, any type of law enforcement? Just Detective West. And was he with any police agency? If you know. I don't know, or I don't remember what. He might have told me, but yikes. Do you know if Detective West was, or Investigator West was hired by the motorcyclist who was involved in the accident or his family to speak to you? I don't know. Okay, did you ever ask Mr. West who he was affiliated with? I might have. I don't remember. Okay, did you ever reach out to call the police or highway patrol to find out what happened to the motorcyclist? No. Did you ever reach out to I'm sorry. No, that's okay. Did you ever reach out to the police or the highway patrol to provide a statement to them as to what you saw in the accident? No, I did not. Okay, and why not? I kind of thought they would contact me. Okay, and some time passed, correct? And you had not been contacted? That's right. And did you think that you should make a call to them to find out what happened? I'll object, as it calls for speculation. I'm just trying to... She did her job, I think, by giving her name and number, and I think it's almost argumentative. Let's take a break. Okay, back on the record. Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. We've taken a short break. I don't think I have a lot left, but just a few more questions. Was your interview with Detective West audio recorded to your knowledge? Don't know. Was it video recorded? No, it was over the phone. Okay. As you read the statement earlier today in your testimony, are there any other changes that you want to make to the statement? I don't think she made any changes, so when you say other, I think you added something in handwriting on the second page. That I added here. I did. It was an addition. Yeah. Can you read that addition? Is that your handwriting? Yes. Could you read it? Terrible handwriting. The cyclist did not appear to be severely injured. I didn't see blood. His limbs looked intact, but he did not move or speak. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add to that statement?
Okay. Move on. Let me click into the next drill. Now let's do the 120. This should be a lot easier now.
Welcome to drill practice.
Okay, she's way
Let's
slow.
start out with this drill, and it is practicing item numbers and money amounts. Ready? Here we go.
Item number?
Item number 472D, $125. Item number 324C, $137. Item number 791P, $413. Item number 741K, $183. Item number 233A, $913. Item number 214Y, $512.
Okay, we're going into an ad break, so I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Time to do the rest of the 120 class. This is class 28.
Now we will practice some sentences, and it's focusing on the briefs for some specific words, and you may or may not brief these words, but the words are distinguish, garage, distribute, quantity. Alrighty?
Distribute. Okay, let me do distribute first. S-T-K-R-E-U-B-T. Distribute. Distinguish. Swish. Hi, Sakyu. Thank you for lurking. Really great 155 stream streak. So impressive. On StreamerBot, it says unknown has been watching for consecutive streams and was awarded channel points. Thanks, StreamerBot. That's really informative.
Garage, distribute, quantity. Alrighty, here we go. Can you distinguish the difference? I couldn't distinguish his face. I can't distinguish between the two. John distinguishes red from green. Ruth usually distinguishes the difference. She distinguishes herself in many ways. There are few distinguishing traits. He is
Oh my god, distinguish.
not in many ways. She distinguishes herself in many ways. There are few distinguishing traits. He is not distinguishing right from wrong. Distinguishing between them was difficult. He is a very distinguished gentleman. The visitor was a very distinguished author. It could not be distinguished in the dark. Who left the garage door open? Will you clean out the garage soon? He stored all of his books in my garage. He really needs 2 garages for his cars. All of the garages on the block are closed. There are 3 parking garages close by. The car was garaged for 2 weeks. They garaged the car when it needed repair. I do not want my car to be garaged now. He will distribute the advertising. Distribute all of the literature. What product do you want to distribute? Who distributes?
Oh my god, distribute.
To be garaged now. He will distribute the advertising. Distribute all of the literature. What product do you want to distribute? Who distributes the mail in your office? The office boy distributes the mail. The parts department distributes the parts. He distributed the new pamphlets. The latest magazines were distributed. Was the flyer distributed on time? Who is distributing faulty information? The company is distributing a new book. Why are you distributing the books today? What was the area of distribution? Distribution of information is a priority.
Distribution is a different word.
Was distribution of the leaflets completed? He is a distributor for the newspaper. The distributor on her car was not working. Are you going to be a distributor? There were many distributors in the area. How many distributors do you have? We need to hire more distributors soon. Do you need to buy such a large quantity? Some people prefer quantity over quality. He drank a very large quantity of beer. You get better prices for large quantities. The quantities of food were enormous. Please be exact about the quantities needed.
Distribute. Distribution. Shouldn't be that difficult.
All right, let's see, what else do we have here? Let's practice these consonant compounds, and they're not focused on any particular consonant compounds, just a mixture. Ready? Here we go. Blush, broke, scar, glare, class, grind, shown, drill, swift, gross, quack, flower, blown, gloom, froze, quite, twist, stake, drone, grass, broad.
2 minutes left.
Alright, now let's practice some sentences that you may find in jury charge material.
Okay.
And these sentences are focusing on the word negotiation.
Negotiation.
Ready? Here we go. Will you
I don't know how to write negotiation. I know how to write negotiate. Okay. Nose-ation. Okay.
you handle this negotiation? Go on the word negotiation. Ready? Here we go. Will you handle this negotiation? The negotiation was stalled for a week. This is the 8th day of negotiations. Negotiations are taking place at headquarters. And this next group of sentences is focusing on the word object.
Object, okay.
Do you object to the question? If you object to the move, say so. It is your prerogative to object. The object is near the edge of the shelf.
Now we gotta move on. The jury charge in literary.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's start with a little jury charge warm-up.
A warm-up, huh? Will it really be a warm-up?
Ready?
Or will it
Here we
be
go.
difficult practice?
My mama always said, never mind the pennies. The dollars will take care of themselves. That same principle, I believe, applies in so many parts of our life, and it includes trials. If you watch out for the little rules, decide right now you're not going to violate them. You might ask, what is the harm if I tell my wife or tell my boss something about this case? Well, I don't want to talk about any specific scenarios that may arise. I'm just telling you, if you just follow the rules, it will make it much more likely that we are going to have a result that at the end of this trial, everyone is going to be satisfied with. You know, this is a business. It's not like a compromise. A trial is where people come together and they have a significant disagreement, and the stakes are high on both sides, especially in a case like this one. So when this trial is over, one side is going to walk out of this courtroom feeling like they have won, and the other side is going to feel like they have lost. I have a goal in every trial that I do. I don't know that I always succeed. I don't know that I'm always going to. But my goal is that when people leave my courtroom, they feel like they have had a fair shake, feel like they had a fair trial. I can only do that if you'll be my partner and inspire to having a result that we can all feel proud of and all feel that justice was served. When the trial has ended, by the way, and you've been released as jurors, you may discuss the case with anyone. You'll be given notebooks and you may take notes during the trial. Do not remove them from the courtroom. You may take your notes into the jury room during deliberations. I do not mean to discourage you from taking notes, but here are some points to distract you. It may affect your ability to listen carefully to all the testimony and to watch the witnesses as they testify. And 2, the notes are for your own individual use.
Thanks for redeeming Autism Creature. Islam, I'm doing stenography, and I'm doing okay.
Help you remember what happened during the trial. Please keep in mind that your notes may be inaccurate or incomplete. At the end of the trial, your notes will be collected and destroyed.
Yeah, I'm training to become a live captioner rather than a court stenographer. But I am aiming for 225 words per minute for Q&A. I'm not good at Q&A though. It's been really difficult. Yeah, it's awesome. I think court stenographers are awesome.
All right, now let's get back to this article called Crack the Code to Pass the Test.
You're in school right now, just finishing theory soon? Ah, cool. What theory are you learning? When the brief time I was in school for stenography, we were learning Phoenix theory. So I use Phoenix still. Oh, Phoenix! Awesome! What a coincidence! That's awesome! Love to meet other people who use Phoenix. What a joyful coincidence. I try to study for around 2 to 3 hours every day. And Thursdays, I like to stream my practice. Because if I ever slack off the other previous days, Thursdays, I'm like, I gotta get up. I gotta get up and I gotta practice. I'm currently in the middle of the jury charge in literary for Platinum Steno.
Here, I offer some tips to successfully crack your code. Tips I've used to coach many in your busy shoes. Nutrition code tips. Consciously focus on your blood sugar level with smart eating and...
I try to do the same amount of time, but some days it's so hard to get myself motivated. Yeah. When you get into the higher speeds, it actually feels like... the practice feels like it goes really, really fast. Like, I did 160 earlier, and it felt like I was just done in like a second. So the practice sessions might feel really, really fast, but you're writing a whole lot. So you might find that 10 minutes have gone past, and you're just finishing that jury charge.
Snacking. Vitamins are essential to prepare physical and mental compass for charting of your code. Carbohydrates create long-term energy, while pasta and rice ensure that your body functions at peak performance. Proteins create short-term energy, and if you balance carbohydrates and proteins, you're in athletic training. Hydrate yourself with water and perhaps...
You're between 60 to 80 right now? Oh. I believe 60 to 80 is usually where people end up when they're done with theory. Then all you have to do is like practice so much every day. Eventually you will get over those plateaus. Even if it feels like your training is impossible, even if you feel like the dictations are impossible to keep up with, you'll eventually find that you're doing a whole lot better.
Tea or Gatorade type drinks. Sodas taste good, but many cause dehydration because of additives and sugar. Stress contributes to depleting fluids, so avoid dehydrating your body. Instead, drink water and other helpful fluids. Body, toes, and fingertips code tips. Wear comfortable clothes and footwear. This awareness tip should be incorporated into your daily routine, especially when
some of these sounds have been tripping you up a lot. I understand. You can see that even though I was working on 160 and 140 earlier, there are still words that I'm having trouble with. So I am still typoing a lot. Dehydrate. I don't know how to write that. Okay, it's dehydrate. Dehydration. Okay. Additives, sugar, dehydrating. I have a lot of trouble with the V's on the right side of the keyboard. FB kills me. Especially if it's FB in combination with anything but the R. Then I'm actually thinking about where I'm placing my fingers and it slows me down.
Preparing for a test. If you are taking a machine portion of any test, your fingertips, nails must function at peak performance. Many students,
if you aren't airily in words like that, you'll get it. It just takes a lot of practice, but eventually you'll be writing it and you'll realize that you're not even thinking about it anymore.
And reporters have manicures. Now is not the time to test a new length or style. Use what works best for you. Radar code tips. As you move closer to your scheduled test, you should specifically notice your energy awareness. Code cracking includes becoming aware that you may now be more sensitive at work and school, with family and yourself. Some term this as cranky, but I prefer sensitive, which is normal. Once you are aware that this energy is part of your preparation, you can acknowledge it and let these test prep code tips work for you. I know you can learn a lot about yourself as you hone and fine-tune your radar, your sensitivity meter. Inspiration code tips. Take time for you. When was the last time you listened to a favorite CD? Is there a movie that inspires you? Have you laughed recently? When we focus on a long-term goal, I firmly believe that it is the little moments, note it's plural, in our world wherein we most effectively gain momentum toward our goal. Common sense code tips. Pack equipment and you before the test. Avoid gassing the car en route. Make sure that there is no construction near the site. You should be packed by mid-afternoon the day before, which reduces the questions like, where did I put?
Okay. I had trouble with that. bunch of words at the beginning that I haven't actually written before, like carbohydrates, vitamin, vitamin. That was what I was trying to write. I was trying to write it as vitamin. But I wrote it with the S. I wonder if that's why it didn't translate.
Alrighty, let's get back to some jury charge.
Ah, okay, I got it. It's with the Z.
Ready? Here we go.
Jury charge.
I will now explain the presumption of innocence and the people's burden of proof. The defendant has pleaded not guilty to the charge. The fact a criminal charge has been filed against the defendant is not evidence that the charge is true. You must not be biased against the defendant just because he has been arrested, charged with a crime, or brought to trial. A defendant in a criminal case is presumed to be innocent. This presumption requires that the people...
It's presumption. I'm thinking about it. It's distracting me. Okay. PRUPLGZ.
This presumption requires that the people prove a defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Whenever I tell you the people must prove something, I mean they must prove it beyond a reasonable doubt unless I specifically tell you otherwise. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt is proof that leaves you with an abiding conviction that the charge is true. The evidence need not eliminate all possible doubt because everything in life is open to some possible or imaginary doubt. In deciding whether the people have proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt, you must impartially compare and consider all the evidence that was received through the entire trial. Unless the evidence proves the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, he's entitled to an acquittal, and you must find him not guilty. You must decide what the facts are in this case. You must use only the evidence that is presented in the courtroom. Evidence is the sworn testimony of witnesses, the exhibits admitted into evidence, and anything else I tell you to consider as evidence. The fact that the defendant was arrested, charged with a crime, or brought to trial is not evidence of guilt.
Impartial. Okay. Is that it? Impartial. Okay, I got it. Evidence, force.
Excuse me. All right, let's get back to our literary. And this article is called Ruminations on Reporting. And it's actually from a little while back. It says the following is adapted from a speech given at the Delaware Court Reporters Association convention in June 2008.
Wow, they have conventions in Delaware? That's where I live. I've never heard of that.
Ready? Here we go. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm certainly aware that most of you have spent the whole day, indeed your whole careers, listening to lawyers drone on. So I'll try to be brief and maybe even relevant. When Neith Ecker, RDR, CRR, who helped plan the convention, called to ask me to speak, my first question was, about what? To my surprise, she said that having been raised in a reporting family and having worked in a reporting office, I should choose my topic. When I pressed to make sure that she was really serious and not just being kind, she stuck to her guns. So here goes. I want to spend a few moments with you today talking about the profession, the challenges before it, and one observer's views on its future. While I am a practicing lawyer and have had the privilege of litigating for the past 25 years in the courts of this state, my perspective is a bit wider than the typical lawyer. That difference in perspective comes from having had a father and a grandfather who both made their living in the court reporting field, as well as having not one but two uncles and one cousin who did or do so as well. To be a bit more specific, I grew up with a dad who made his living as an official reporter in media, an uncle who made his living as an official reporter in the Delaware Court of Chancery, an uncle who made his living as an official reporter in the media courts, a granddad who opened one of the first freelance reporting firms in the city of Philadelphia, and a cousin who opened one of the first in Wilmington. To say that reporting is in my blood is perhaps a bit presumptuous, but I can say that for almost all of the time that I can recall as a child and then a young adult, the work of running the freelance reporting firm that my dad and even...
Okay, sorry. My laptop just disconnected from the Ethernet cord. Okay. Should be good now. This is disconnected. Come on, reconnect. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this manually. Yeah, I don't know what this is happening. Okay, it should be fixed now. There. There it is. Okay, we're fine.
Say that it was almost inevitable that I should wind up working at that firm, first during high school summers, then through college, and even occasionally into law school.
High school is this, okay? That's easy to remember.
Right, we will get back to that.
Okay, we got 2 more minutes left of the jury
Find
card
out why he
delivery.
became an attorney instead of a court reporter. All right, let's try some more jury charge practice. Ready? Here we go. Nothing that the attorneys say is evidence. In their opening statements and closing arguments, the attorneys will discuss the case, but their remarks are not evidence. Their questions are not evidence. Only the witnesses' answers are evidence. The attorney's questions are significant only if they helped you understand the witnesses' answers. Do not assume that something is true just because an attorney asks a question that suggests it is true. During the trial, the attorneys may object to questions asked of a witness. I will rule on the objections according to the law. If I sustain an objection, the witness will not be permitted to answer, and you must ignore the question. If the witness does not answer, do not guess what the answer might have been or why I ruled as I did. If I order testimony stricken from the record, you must disregard it and must not consider that testimony for any purpose. You must disregard anything you see or hear when the court is not in session, even if it is said or done by one of the parties or witnesses.
Okay, now we're moving on to Q&A. The thing that I'm the worst at.
Welcome to Q&A practice. We will start with the court.
Okay, we're starting with the court.
Ready? People versus Burns. Let the record show defendant is present, represented by counsel. People are represented by counsel. All jurors are present. Counsel, you may call your first witness. We call Mike Smith. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes. Be seated in the witness box. Please state your name and spell your last name. Mike F. Smith, S-M-I-T-H. Mr. Smith, do you reside at 324 Rose in West Hills? Yes, sir. And did you also reside there on the date of May 16 of 2009? Yes, sir. Now, on that date, May 16, did you leave your house at some time? Yes. And do you remember about what time that was? 3-4 in the afternoon. And at that time, was there anyone home when you left, or was the house empty? House was empty. When you left, did you secure all the doors and windows? Yes. If we don't, the alarm system doesn't activate. Do you have an alarm system in the house? Yes. Is that connected up to the doors and windows? Yes. And do you have to turn it on if you want to have it activated when you leave, right. Now, when you left, was there any damage to any of the windows of the house? No. And is there a kitchen window in the back of the house? Yes. And more specifically, was that broken or damaged in any way at the time you left on the 16th? No. Incidentally, is your alarm, when it goes off, does it make some sort of noise? Yes. It's got a loud bell inside the house and outside. Not a siren, but a bell. A bell. Also, does it have any attachment that goes with it as part of your service that notifies the alarm company? Yes, we subscribe to a service that calls the police in case the alarm goes off 15 seconds after the alarm goes off. All right. Does it also call a alarm company too? Well, the alarm goes off through the alarm service and alarm company. Well, sir, here's what I'm trying to find out is if one phones the police station or some way transmits a message to the alarm company. Okay, when the alarm goes off, there is something that calls the police station. What is the name of the company? Hawk Security. Is there something that notifies Hawk? That's what I'm asking. Right. Okay, is that an immediate notification or is there some delay on that? I think in case we set it off accidentally, we've got 10 to 15 seconds in order to call, in order to shut it off. If it's not shut off in 10 to 15 seconds, then the alarm company calls the police department. All right. As part of the alarm system, the kitchen would be in the back, hooked up to the system also. Yes. And what sort of things will set the alarm off? If the window is opened, I think if it's opened more than opened at all, it triggers off. If the glass is broken in any way, there is a monitor that triggers the alarm off when a large screeching sound is heard. Now, did you on another day, that is May 2nd, return to your house? Yes. And when you returned to the house, did you find anything different about its condition than when you had left on the 16th? Yes. My kitchen window was broken. There was a piece of plywood boarded up over the window, and the screen was that done by a relative of yours? Yes. And the screen was still on the lawn in our backyard. Had it been on the window when you left? Yes. The kitchen sink was full of glass. That was apparently from the window. Yes. Hadn't there been when you left no glass in the kitchen sink? Right. Now, Mr. Smith, did you give anyone permission to enter your house while you were gone? No, sir. And did you give this defendant permission to be in your house or to tamper with any part of your house? No, sir. Do you know him at all? No. Ever seen him before? No.
I did better than I thought I would. I got a lot more down than I usually do. Okay, what's next?
All right.
Tickled off Patrick just redeemed yeehaw.
Thanks for
Let's
redeeming
try
yeehaw.
some practice from our transcript.
Okay.
And we will start with defense attorney.
Defense attorney.
Ready?
The mustache is
Here
fun.
we go. And when you said 8 minutes, was that the total time from the time rendering treatment at the scene to getting her to the emergency room at Mission Hospital? Yes, that was when we first made contact with her to when we left for the hospital. Our transport time was from 1856 to 1907. Do you recall if there were any police officers at the scene when you were rendering care to Ms. Waters that evening? It's standard practice for them to show up. I don't remember seeing them there, no. And do you have any recollection as to how many lanes of travel there are at the intersection where this incident occurred? There's 3 in each direction, and you don't have any recollection at all as to which lane you remember first observing her face down in? No. Do you recall having any conversations with Ms. Waters in transit to Mission Hospital? Not specifics. Were you one of the individuals in the back with her during the transport? Yes. Do you recall having any conversations with the other individuals in the transport van itself on the way to the hospital? No. And then were you one of the treating paramedics that actually wheeled Ms. Waters into the emergency room at Mission Hospital? Yes. Do you recall having any discussions with a charge nurse or an admitting nurse or anything over at Mission Hospital about Ms. Waters' condition? When we get to the trauma room, we speak to the trauma doctor, and there is probably about 15 other nurses standing around and getting the patient prepped for whatever treatment they're going to be doing. So I am basically speaking to a crowd, but I need to make sure that I'm speaking to the trauma doctor because he needs to know what happened and what's going on and what we found. All right.
Oh, I'm gonna redo that one. That was really fast.
On the way to the hospital, you recall back not with. Do you have any recollection seeing them there? No. And do you have any recollection as to how many lanes of travel there are at? No, sir. Do you know him at all? No. Ever seen him?
Okay, there. 7. Minute 7, this transcript starts around.
All right. Let's try some practice from our transcript. And we will start with defense attorney. Ready? Here we go. And when you said 8 minutes, was that the total time from the time rendering treatment at the scene to getting her to the emergency room at Mission Hospital? Yes, that was when we first made contact with her to when we left for the hospital. Our transport time was from 1856 to 1907. Do you recall if there were any police officers at the scene when you were rendering care to Ms. Waters that evening? It's standard practice for them to show up. I don't remember seeing them there, no. And do you have any recollection as to how many lanes of travel there are at the intersection where this incident occurred? There's 3 in
I'm
each.
gonna restart this.
Contact will be. And when you said, here we go. And when you said 8 minutes, was that the total time from the time rendering treatment at the scene to getting her to the emergency room at Mission Hospital? Yes, that was when we first made contact with her to when we left for the hospital. Our transport time was from 1856 to 1907. Do you recall if there were any police officers at the scene when you were rendering care to Ms. Waters that evening? It's standard practice for them to show up. I don't remember seeing them there, no. And do you have any recollection as to how many lanes of travel there are at the intersection where this incident occurred? There's 3 in each direction. And you don't have any recollection at all as to which lane you remember first observing her face down in? No. Do you recall having any conversations with Ms. Waters in transit to Mission Hospital? Not specifics. Were you one of the individuals in the back with her during the transport? Yes. Do you recall having any conversations with the other individuals in the transport van itself on the way to the hospital? No. And then were you one of the treating paramedics that actually wheeled Ms. Waters into the emergency room at Mission Hospital? Yes. Do you recall having any discussions with a charge nurse or an admitting nurse or anything over at Mission Hospital about Ms. Waters' condition? When we get to the trauma room, we speak to the trauma doctor, and there is probably about 15 other nurses standing around and getting the patient prepped for whatever treatment they're going to be doing. So I am basically speaking to a crowd, but I need to make sure that I'm speaking to the trauma doctor because he needs to know what happened and what's going on and what we found. All right, that will.
Okay. Oh no, the ad break's gonna start soon, and I have no way to snooze it anymore.
This is a 120 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. Scott, capital S-C-O-T-T. Defense attorney, Ms. MS period Andrews, capital A-N-D-R-E-W-S. And we'll start with the plaintiff attorney.
I just don't like having an ad break start and then end
Ready?
right before the stream ends.
I show you a picture which has been received as exhibit number 5, just so that we're all sure. If you look to your right, is that the young lady that was at your residence on the 31st? Yes, it was. Mrs. Zipperer, can you tell the jury if you remember what this young lady was wearing? She was wearing a dark jacket, waist length. I think she had jeans, and she had brown hiking boots. Hiking shoes, not boots. They were shoes. All right. When you had contact with this young lady, how long was it that you spoke with her? About 15 minutes she was there. after taking the pictures or after finishing her business there. Can you tell me what she did? She came to talk to me with some papers. She told me that I should give them to my husband and he should look them over and decide if he wanted to go ahead and put the car in the magazine. And if he did, the picture would be already taken, and then all he had to do was call her the next day or whenever he decided to put it in the paper, the magazine. Mrs. Zipperer, I have handed you what's been marked for identification as exhibit number 26. It's a bag full of materials. Do you recognize that bag? Yes. And do you recognize the materials or the papers that are inside of it? Yes. Were those the materials or the papers that Sue Hallback left for you or gave to you after you had your transaction with her? Yes. You can just kind of pick one of those things up. First of all, let's start with the Auto Trader magazine. Is there a magazine in there? Is that right? Yes. Would you show that to the jury, please? Is there something in those papers called a bill of sale? Yes. Would you show that to the jury, please? And is there also a for sale sign in there? Yes. Could you show us that, please?
Okay, ad break has just started. So I'm gonna finish this and I'm gonna redo it. So just gonna redo it. I feel like I can do better the second time around. Not sure though. Okay, we're back.
Please, jury, please. And is there also a for sale sign in there? Yes. Could you show us that, please? You can put them back into the bag if you will. I have now given you what's been marked as exhibit number 27. It's a photograph, but it may be a little easier for the jury to see what we're talking about. Can you tell us what exhibit 27 is, please? I'm not sure what this is. You don't know what that's a photo of? I don't have any quarrel that it's a photograph of the items in exhibit 26. You were just holding those items, weren't you, in exhibit 26? Isn't this a picture of the things that are in exhibit 26? Oh, yes. A for sale sign, a bill of sale, and an Auto Trader magazine? Yes. Thank you, counsel. Mrs. Zipperer, after speaking with this young woman, did she tell you where she was going, where she was heading next? No, she didn't. How long was she there? About 15 minutes. This young lady seem upset to you? No. How was her demeanor? In other words, how did she act towards you? She was very nice. She was pleasant and friendly. She smiled. A couple things we talked about, she smiled. Now, prior to her arrival, Mrs. Zipperer, do you recall receiving a phone call from this young lady that day? Yes. She left a message that she was having trouble finding our house, but I was outside, so I didn't hear it until later, after she was gone, but she found the place. She just told me that she was having trouble finding it.
Okay, I'm going to redo that.
All right. ANDREW. And we'll start with the plaintiff attorney. Ready? I show you a picture which has been received as exhibit number 5, just so that we're all sure. If you look to your right, is that the young lady that was at your residence on the 31st? Yes, it was. Mrs. Zipperer, can you tell the jury if you remember what this young lady was wearing? She was wearing a dark jacket, waist length. I think she had jeans, and she had brown hiking boots. Hiking shoes, not boots. They were shoes. All right. When you had contact with this young lady, how long was it that you spoke with her? About 15 minutes she was there. After taking the pictures or after finishing her business there, can you tell me what she did? She came to talk to me with some papers. She told me that I should give them to my husband, and he should look them over and decide if he wanted to go ahead and put the car in the magazine. And if he did, the picture would be already taken, and then all he had to do was call her the next day or whenever he decided to put it in the paper, the magazine. Mrs. Zipperer, I have handed you what's been marked for identification as exhibit number 26. It's a bag full of materials. Do you recognize that bag? Yes. And do you recognize the materials or the papers that are inside of it? Yes. Were those the materials or the papers that Sue Hallback left for you or gave to you after you had your transaction with her? Yes. You can just kind of pick one of those things up. First of all, let's start with the Auto Trader magazine. Is there a magazine in there? Is that right? Yes. Would you show that to the jury, please? Is there something in those papers called a bill of sale? Yes. Would you show that to the jury, please? And is there also a for sale sign in there? Yes. Could you show us that, please? You can put them back into the bag if you will. I have now given you what's been marked as exhibit number 27. It's a photograph, but it may be a little easier for the jury to see what we're talking about. Can you tell us what exhibit 27 is, please? I'm not sure what this is. You don't know what that's a photo of? I don't have any quarrel that it's a photograph of the items in exhibit 26. You were just holding those items, weren't you, in exhibit 26? Isn't this a picture of the things that are in exhibit 26? Oh, yes. A for sale sign, a bill of sale, and an Auto Trader magazine? Yes. Thank you, counsel. Mrs. Zipperer, after speaking with this young woman, did she tell you where she was going, where she was heading next? No, she didn't. How long was she there? About 15 minutes. This young lady seem upset to you? No. How was her demeanor? In other words, how did she act towards you? She was very nice. She was pleasant and friendly. She smiled. A couple things we talked about, she smiled. Now, prior to her arrival, Mrs. Zipperer, do you recall receiving a phone call from this young lady that day? Yes. She left a message that she was having trouble finding our house, but I was outside, so I didn't hear it until later, after she was gone, but she found the place. She just told me that she was having trouble finding it.
Okay, that's it. I am done with practice today. I did 160, 140, and 120. Still had trouble with 120, but it was not as difficult as 160. And I had an easier time with 140 for some reason. Okay, let me click to the next video. There. Now I gotta... What's this? Thank you, Patrick. I'm going to grade Alice Moonflower. Alice is currently playing Hollow Knight. She said that she was having a really good time with it, that she was doing great at it. So you'll be able to see some really cool moves from her, I guess. I'll be back tomorrow for more of the 100-line Last Defense Academy. And of course, on Blue Sky, I'm going to be doing more steno practice. I'll probably limit myself to 140 or 120 though. Goodbye!